Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Tewksbury Select Board meeting for Tuesday, March 10th. The time is 7 p.m. I invite everyone to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, welcome, everyone. The first scheduled item on our agenda is a public hearing, 1300 Main Cafe Incorporated, Cafe Cecilia, 1300 Main Street. New alcohol license request. Come forward. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, David Plunkett, representing the applicant, 1300 Main Cafe, Inc. Mr. Chairman, at the table, I have Van Nguyen and Fong Tran, who are the principals of the corporation. And also in the audience is Hong Man, who, together with Van, is the primary server, in terms of wait staff and interact with the customers at their Cafe Cecilia. Hopefully, members of the board have had the opportunity to try Cafe Cecilia since my clients took over. The food is delicious. They've taken a spot that was, somewhat of a staple in the town, and they've now put a lot of time, effort, and investment into it to turn it into a dining spot, a place to go to when you're looking for a dinner. Before it was more catering to sandwiches and, a casual, just go and pick up and go, but they made the effort to turn this into another spot within the town that you have an option, a dining option, which, in terms of the quality of a town, one of the key things that you look at are, way of life, quality of life. Sometimes having options such as dining gives us, makes us more of an attractive community than we already are. And certainly, Van and Vong have put a lot of time and effort into doing this. One of the things that, when you look at the history of the applicants, and we come here before the board realizing that a request for a liquor license, it's not a right, it's a privilege that is bestowed upon them, upon the permit granting authority being the select board in the town. And it's something that has to be taken with the understanding of the impact and their rights and in their obligations under the terms of getting a grant of that from the select board. And they are very well aware. They're a story of, the American dream. They came here in February of 2000. Van is a member of the Tewksbury business community, has had Jessica Nails for, 15 years now? Yeah. For 15 years has been an active member of our business community. And this, again, shows, the importance within the town that you have a member of the business community now saying, hey, I've made a business for 15 years and I'm looking to expand, not going to Wilmington, not going to Lowell, not going to some other community, but staying within the town of Tewksbury, which I think is a testament to them and the community as well. One of the things that we wanted to impress upon the board is the work that they have done in anticipation of asking for this permission. They have, and if I may, Mr. Chairman, I'll just pass out some handouts just to show the certification of completion for the TIPS training as well as the software that they have for scanning to make certain that when they get the license, hopefully we're going to get the approval, and that they've taken the steps to make certain that they have everything in place, that, nothing is taken for granted, and they understand the serious nature of being granted a license of this.
Oops.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So at this point, Van and Hong are the primary, they're the only parties with interaction with the customer base at this time. But the expectation is, with the liquor license, the business is going to expand. Again, the food is out of this world, but, Van was telling me just about a month or so ago that, people came in, they were going to sit down and eat, and then they found that they didn't have the liquor license, and they said, oh, well, we'll come back, and, they left, not because they weren't expecting to get a great meal, but it's just the nature of the business. When people are looking to relax with a nice dinner, they also want to have the opportunity to have a drink, and they're ready, they're set for a nice array of, mixed drinks and beverages for the people coming in. Again, with the understanding that they will be completely in charge to address all the issues that they have to address. Any expansion of employees certainly is going to be of the same, nature that they've gone through at this point in time, tip certified, understanding their protocols, and basically, I think that's all we have. We have Hong is in the audience as well, who I gave you a certificate of completion. If you want to have her any testimony from Hong, Van and Fong, here to testify as well, in terms, but I think I've given you a good synopsis of where we are, what we're looking for, and open to any questions.
All right, thank you. This time I'm going to open it up to the board. Mr. Mackey, do you have any questions?
Thank you. Mr. Plunkett, you were very thorough. You actually got to go through my list and check off a lot of my questions. So tip certification, check. Just wanted to confirm, you did say that new employees will be required to get tip certification?
Yes.
Perfect. You have the ID scanning software, which is great. We always recommend that because it keeps you out of trouble and makes it easier to spot those fakes. What else do we have here? Have you guys had a business that has served alcohol before?
No.
No? Okay. So definitely stay on top of that. You've done the training, you're on the right track, right? You have the right tools in your toolbox. I would say make sure you sign up for the police department's mailing. They do mailings for when they're going to be doing checks on businesses that have liquor licenses, et cetera. And you talked about the service, so it will be full bar mixed drinks. And that's all I have for questions. I wish you guys luck, and I've heard great things about the FA, so I can't wait to come see you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hall?
Yeah, I just have, you actually answered most of my questions, and Mr. Mackey followed up with them. But I'm curious on the hours. Is it necessary to be, are you going to serve food till 1 a.m. too?
No, basically, we just put the parameters of what the allowed hours are. What's your time of your hours?
11 o'clock and tonight.
11 o'clock at night, so.
11
No,
o'clock.
11 a.m. and to 9 o'clock.
Till 9 o'clock?
Yeah.
So we're applying for a license till 1 a.m.?
Well, it was basically, when I saw that question, it was, what is the allowable service of alcohol within the town? I believe that was, if I didn't interpret that question correctly. I believe in Tewksbury, we can serve until 1 o'clock at night. So my answer was, I thought that was specific to the community that we're applying in terms of what the allowable hours of service are. So that was the answer to that, was within the town. So certainly, they're not expecting to serve until 1 o'clock, though, is,
But the license still will allow them to serve to 1 o'clock, because that's kind of a tight neighborhood down there with the
Yeah.
housing down there and stuff. So I would prefer that it was changed to midnight.
yeah, that would be fine. Yeah.
That's all the questions I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Russo?
Yeah, no, everything's been answered. Appreciate the thoroughness, and Cafe Celia, it's awesome. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Food is excellent. Been there. Looking forward to going back and, have a glass of wine now with dinner. So that'll be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Ryder?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, all my questions were asked or explained. I'm okay with the midnight hours, and the application is very thorough, so I wish you best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you're planning to close at, was it 10 o'clock? Is that
We go at 9,
9? Okay, 9 o'clock. And that on weekends as well?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock is that, okay. Well, we have a number of restaurants in the community that they have a license, if they stayed open, that they could do, but it's their choice to close early. And there's many restaurants in the community that do the same thing, that they just don't want to stay open. They're a family restaurant, they want to work family hours and everyone get a good night's sleep. So I understand that. I respect my colleague's suggestion, so, we can make that, you can make that recommendation, but everything else we've seen seems to meet our criteria. The only thing I would like to add is, my colleague, Mr. Mackey, mentioned about the mailings, but also there's the police department, each year, which will probably be coming up soon, they usually do it around April, they do compliance checks. They'll notify you, but they'll also invite you to a class, where they'll give a class, and you can sign up, it's an online thing, and they'll give you all the information, and they appreciate if businesses, take advantage of that. So if you sign up for that, you get to go, and they'll give you a lot of information about what to look for, what to expect. Kids are getting out of school, and people will always try to, you have somebody walk in a place that looks like they're 25, but really they're 17, so, just the fact that you have the scanners is excellent, the fact that you're going to be compliant, and you've been business owners in the community as well, so you know how to deal with the public, so I appreciate all those things. All right, at this time, this is a public hearing, so I'm going to open it up to the public. Is there anybody that would like to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to close the public.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
I got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, now I'll listen to any motions on this matter.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, to approve the all alcohol liquor license for 1300 Main Cafe, Inc., doing business as Cafe Cecilia.
Second that.
With,
Well, we're going to have a stipulation.
With the stipulation that is amended to the 12 o'clock time, yes.
Okay. Is that the second with the amendment? Okay. So I got a motion to approve the license with the 12 o'clock shut-off time and a second by Mr. Russo. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
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 Chair votes aye as well. Congratulations.
Best of luck.
Good luck. I'm sure we'll all be seeing you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. All right, at this time, I want to open up to residents. Do we have any residents that would like to be heard? Okay, seeing none. We're going to move on to new business. Mr. Curran, we're going to water and sewer rates.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I had presented these earlier at the budget meeting a couple of weeks ago, but I need a formal vote from the board to establish the water and sewer rates, and nothing has changed since I presented them. But I'll go through it just for the benefit of the public meeting. Basically, the water rates are projected to go up 6.5%. And that would result in annually a $41 increase for 71% of the town. So 71% of the people in town would pay $41 more or less than that. So they would, the most they would pay is $41 annually, based on consumption averages. And so 71% of the town would consume 55,000 gallons in a year, and that's what the increase would be. Now, if you go to 90% of the town, it would be the highest you would pay would be $78 over the year. But keep in mind that once, you go down to 70%, you're down to 40. So between 70 and 90% of the town, which is 20% of the town, you're paying between $40 and $80. So 20% of the town is paying between $40 and $80. 70% of the town is paying less than $41 as a result of a 6.5% increase. The board's instruction to me last year was we knew that there was going to be some upward pressure on the rate because of the aggressive commitment to capital. And, we were looking at rate increases of about 11% in the near future. So what we did was we used some overlay surplus, which we transferred into our water stabilization fund. We used $400 last year, and we're using $450 this year to basically, mitigate the impact on the rate. So that if that 400 wasn't in there, the rates would be more like 11%. So it's 6.5, which is what the board instructed me to do last year and this year. And then hopefully in the years following, you'll see one of my attachments. We can project that it will go down. It'll be lower than 6.5%. So that's where we are with water. And then with sewer, it's a 3% increase, much less. And that is because on the sewer end of things, debt is actually coming off the book, so things are a little bit more manageable. So the 3% increase represents for 70% of the population, 70% of the residents, a $14 increase over a year. And for 90% of the residents, it represents a $27 increase. So 20% of the town is paying in between $14 and $27. 70% of the town is paying 14 or less as a result of a 3% increase. So that's a manageable increase for sewer, and we expect that in the near future for sewer because there's not as many capital investments right now, although we will start having to look at them because the pump stations will need to be addressed in the future. But that's where we are. Same information I gave you a couple of weeks ago, but I just wanted to memorialize it and get an action out of the board so that we can, because the billing period is coming up soon.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Ryder, we're starting with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Curran, if we, 6.5%, I completely understand. I know I was pretty critical on this last year. What would it be if we only raised to 5%? What would we need to pull out of the stabilization? And do you know what we balance on that stabilization right now is?
It's actually going to be pretty low because retained earnings the balance is going to be around $700,000. So I would hesitate to take any more out of that account. There's about $1 million in the stabilization fund. So.
So there's currently $1 million in there right now?
We have two funds. We have stabilization fund and a retained earnings fund. And I know just off memory that the retained earnings fund is going to be less than $1 million. I think it's around $700,000 after we finish town meeting. And I can pull it up, but I know that the stabilization fund, I think, is a little over $1 million. So in total, our stabilization, our surplus funds for water are not as good as they are for sewer. Sewer is 4 million stabilization and about 4 million in retained earnings, so there's a lot of room there. And if you recall, last year we didn't use water surplus, we used overlay surplus because I didn't want to dent that number. That's why we picked the number we did. And I actually did take a little more out, and we put 800 aside, so I did take 450 out this year. So I took out a little bit more to account for the increase in debt. And so I did make a little more aggressive than what I had presented last year.
So do you know what the additional funds that would come out if we brought that rate down to 5%?
I'd have to figure that out.
I mean, I know residents are always concerned with the economy currently still in flux. 6.5% is a little steeper than I'd like to see, but I mean, I'll leave that up to the rest of my colleagues, but I'd like to know what that number is, if we could pull a little more out of that to keep that around the 5%.
For the difference that you're talking about, I wouldn't recommend it, but I can figure out what that would be.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Russo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Curran, so out of the funds that are being raised, I'm trying to just understand here, how much of this is going towards capital improvements? I know there's a long-term plan, obviously, and I was a little mixed up because of the capital outlay piece, but then separately from that, there was this capital project, but it was tied to indirect expenses. So is this the piece that's going towards the improvements overall in terms of the water line infrastructure and all the things that the board is committed to?
So, I mean, I guess if you could rephrase the question, the capital improvements, we'll put 5.4 million a year plus 1.5 million for water meters, so that's 6.9 million is going towards capital improvements, so the debt service on 6.9 million.
Okay.
Is going towards that.
Okay. And then with because from Mr. Ryder's question, in terms of the retained earnings piece that we're left with at the end of each year, because this year you're projecting a 6.5% increase, but in future years you're going down to roughly 4.5%, 4.4% to be exact. But we have a greater surplus in the later years with the lower increase.
Yeah, we have.
That make sense?
So I attached that. Yeah, just looking at that, it's 4.4.
Yep.
Right, and then you can see, yeah, so that's it right there. The cumulative surplus for FY '27 right now is 586.
Correct. Yep.
And then it's 1.1 and 28, 1.3, and then 1.1 and then 7. So it does goes down a little bit as the years go on, but it doesn't go into the negative.
Yep. Okay. I mean, it's interesting because it seems like we're raising it more, and I apologize, 'cause I wasn't here a year ago for this conversation, but it seems like we're raising it more to sort of smooth out where we want to be for later years, which I'm not necessarily opposed to that, because, you want to try and stabilize it, right? So that you don't have the volatility in future years. So it's a little bit more predictable for residents and families.
Well, that's actually not, I understand what you're saying, but that's not actually accurate, because we're not raising it more because we're trying to smooth it out in the future. If that were the case, we'd have a big surplus.
Okay.
And we're generating a surplus of $586,000, which is below where we want to be.
Want it to be, okay.
So that isn't the case. We are certainly not raising more than we need. We're probably raising less than we should. But I'm trying to do that to keep the rates at what the board asked for last year, which was 6.5%.
Okay. All right, I'll pause and defer to my colleagues, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Mr. Holland?
Yeah, I just have a couple of questions. I don't see I see the current water rates, proposed water rates. Is there a secondary water rate for commercial?
No, it's all based on tiers. So there
So, I mean, an out-of-town rate.
is an out-of-town rate, that's proposed secondary meter rate are the same except for above 47 plus.
Okay, and going back to Mr. Ryder's question, you know that in the retained earnings in water, we don't have a lot. I'm looking at it at a whole different perspective. I'm looking at if the average rate of water is going up 41 and the average rate of sewer is going up 27, and we have a surplus in the retained earnings of sewer, why can't we just lower the sewer rate?
So it's not 27, it's 14. It's a $14 increase for 70% of the town
Okay,
for sewer, it's not 27. That's for if you're at the 90%.
if you're at the 90%.
So.
But again, with that being said, and you have $4 million in retained earnings, I mean, $10 is $10. I mean, could we leave the sewer rates as they are now and just go up to 6.5% on the water rates? Because it all comes in one bill.
I understand what you're saying, but I just think that's a dangerous habit to get into, is not, is
Well, I mean,
subsidizing the rate with one-time expenditures. It's just a bad habit to get into.
Well,
I mean, when I put this forward last year, I put it forward with the idea that this was a temporary one-time buffer to smooth out the rate over a period of time, not to use it to subsidize the rate for an infinite period of time. It's just not a good practice. It's not a good financial practice for the town to engage in.
Well, my last question is going to be, have you factored in if the state comes on?
Yes,
That factors in?
that's in there, $800,000 in revenue.
Okay. That's all the questions I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Mackey?
Well, Mr. Curran, first of all, thank you. You've been kind of given an impossible math problem here to solve for. I think that it's sad to see that we are still raising rates on this. We made a commitment in '24, this board, to go up to $5.4 million a year, which at the time was supposed to get us 3 miles of water main replacement a year. And that was supposed to be a stopgap until we formalized a plan. And I presented multiple times to the board on getting a formal plan in place where we talk about structuring debt. We continue to work with town staff on options and how we can move forward. And that just hasn't materialized. So that is something that I would say we need to circle back to and look at how we formalize this plan moving forward. Because there are other costs that are going to be associated with it from the DPW, project managers, et cetera. So that $5.4 million, I'd be surprised if it's still getting us 3 miles a year. If it did outside of the first year, I'd actually be surprised. So that's going to continue to cause a problem, and the calculations that were done when that was presented of going to that $5.4 million a year was for 1 year. So now that has become a practice we're following is not the best, especially because it's not going to address our water infrastructure problems. 3 miles a year, I think it was going to take 30-something years off the top of my head. It's been 2 years since I looked at it, but to us to get up to date, not including infrastructure that was going end of life over those 30 years. So I think we have some work to do as a board to come back and actually address this problem, other than leaving it to the town manager to figure out how to fund what was supposed to be a one-time improvement. That being said, I do know that history-wise, this was, I believe, the sewer rates were meant to balance against the sewer debt that was dropping off. So I think that's probably some of that discrepancy in the percentage increases, correct?
So as I brought this up at the budget meeting, is that the sewer debt is exempt. And so that means sewer debt, the levy falls off, so you can't just replace it with the water debt, which I had hoped. But what I think we'll be able to do is capture about $1 million of it. So we'll transfer there's about $5 million in debt that's falling off over 5 years. I think we can capture, because it's next year. I think we can capture about 1 million of that, or 900, which is the amount that's coming off next year. But beyond that, there's no guarantees. I think we should try to continue to capture it and roll sewer debt to water debt, because that'll help the rates. But I can only say with some certainty that we can do it, we can get 1 year in. But unless you wanted to go to the ballot and transfer that debt exemption from water to sewer to water, I would think there's no appetite for that. But there are other ways that we will try to address that. One is the state revenue. We're projecting it to be 800,000. It could be more, we'll see, but that might help us. But that's why, I wanted to make sure that we had a 6.5%, because that's what the board asked for last year and this year. And beyond that, we want to go down. So I tried to keep it in that 4% neighborhood as a projection. Now, that could change. Our revenues could get better. There are all sorts of things, but I like to be conservative. And so right now, in order to temper expectations, I'm carrying a rate out into the future in the next 4 or 5 years of 4.4%. Could be better than that, but you never know.
No, and I appreciate that. And I think you touched on something very important about, residents wanting to move that debt. I don't think anyone wants to pay more bills, pay more taxes, pay increased rates. But with what we're doing right now, the 5.4 million a year, that is not a sustainable objective. I think that what was discussed before and what I had presented before was coming up with a all-encompassing plan, figuring out what it's going to cost to get us updated, and then trying to find a way to structure that debt was probably the best way. Then we can actually go to town meeting with a plan, present it to residents, have milestones, have information that is transparent, as opposed to a nebulous, we're doing more infrastructure improvements. So that's something I think that this board should take back up. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Curran. You said, I think that when the DPW came in, I think they mentioned that the 3 miles isn't happening, it's more like 2.5.
It's 2, I think the last one was 2.8.
2.8?
Yeah.
But we did have that, I found some correspondence in other communities where other cities and towns were getting water grants, where we've always been told we can't get them. I found something where other communities were. So I worked with Mr. Curran and Assistant Town Manager to draft letters to Congressman Moulton, who seemed to get the funding. They got money, I think, for Essex and Ipswich and whatever it was. And so we drafted letters asking for us to be included in this, where we've been told we can't. But if there's money that's available and those type of grants, we're going to keep taking advantage of it. I think they gave like 800,000 to $1 million in many communities. So I appreciate you following up on that to see what we can get. The fact that the sewer is going to be going down, people have been waiting for this a long time because of our rates have been so high over the years. So that going down is good news. Unfortunately, as we've all discussed, we have a lot of water lines. It seems like every other day we're listening to a water break. And nobody wants to pay to repair them. But we're wasting a lot of money because we're treating all the water that's going through our community, and we're losing quite a bit of it with all these water breaks. So we're paying for all the chemicals, all the service, all the things that are happening, and with the deteriorating pipes, a lot of that money that we're paying for to treat is going back into the soil because of the breaks. So we got to find a way to prioritize where the major things are. I know they're working on a plan of, where, like how they'd like to replace these, but, I'd like to get more information going forward, and so we can let the residents know, like, where are the worst sections? Where are the things? Just so we can have constant communication of knowing, because every day you wake up and you hear there's a water break and they repair it, and then it seems like a mile away it'll break again. But the main water line was what I'm concerned about, especially the one that was down by the Knights. That broke and it shut down the town. It just seemed when that went, that's a concern, and I know we haven't been out there working on that, so I'm concerned that could go again And, I mean, if we lost that much water out there, that cost us a lot of money to be treating all that water and then have it all go into, the Shawshene River out by the bridge. So I'd like to get an update on what the status of that and when we're going to be fixing it, so.
Okay.
All right, I'll open it up now. Do we have any other questions or concerns or recommendations by
I
the
do have
board?
one other question.
Yep.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Mr. Curran. If, as you carried out in FY '28 and '29 through '30, if we went with a 5% and just went 5% across the board through, through fiscal '31, where would that put our retained earnings? Obviously, we're going to see less retained earnings, but that would balance out over the remaining 3 years, correct?
So you're saying instead of 6.5?
Proposing 6.5% FY '27. If we went with a 5% FY '27 and just 5% across the board instead of 4.4%. Through FY '31. And I mean, also too, and I don't disagree with Mr. Mackey, a long-term plan. And also, Mr. Kratman talking about, money from the state and
Feds.
other options. Again, I don't disagree that we need to address the elephant in the room, our water mains. I don't disagree with that. But I think we should, if we can look at just going with a 5% across the board, a fixed 5% for the next, the remaining 4 years, that should balance us out in the retained earnings. And if that's not going to be the case, then we need to look at not spending specific amounts of money on, equipment that we can defer out. We just did approve some substantial amount of money for equipment that is being funded out of both water and sewer. That's something we need to look at because some of this equipment may be able to be pushed out a year or 2 or 3 years with a slight investment in them instead of having that large increase this year. I've heard from a lot of residents that, be honest, they're sick of the rates. They're going to be happy with the sewer rates, but the water rates are, what you'll see at that point, if we continue to raise our water rates, people are going to stop irrigating their lawn. They're not going. It's not going to affect on the sewer side because it's still going to be getting on their house meter. But those separate meters, people are going to start to say, we're not going to we're not going to irrigate our lawn. We're going to limit the amount of, washing our cars and so forth. So, I know it's a small gesture in cutting it down, but I think if we can carry that over the next 4 years with a fixed 5% rate, I think it will balance out by FY '31. Again, that's just my opinion.
Well, I'm
And
just
again,
trying to...
I'm very well aware of, the infrastructure cost and equipment cost and how this works. But, I've always tried to, keep it's a balancing act.
Have any other comments or questions on the board?
So I'm just saying, if you did 5% each one of these years, I think they'd end up paying more over time because you're paying 5, 5, and 5 versus 6.5, 4, 4, and 4, 4.
So if we realized it was going to be a stable rate for even through 2033 or whatever it may be, I'm just concerned that we're going to say it's 6.5.
With all due respect,
4.
With all due respect, last year, the board told me 6.5 was good for these 2 years. So now if you say 5, 5, and 5 is good, is next year going to be, no, 5's too high? I think we have to commit to a plan and stay with it. That's
I'm going to make a recommendation that we move forward with the town manager's current number, even though it's, I'm not a fan of it, but we do need to come up with a plan. I think we should go back to the water working sessions we've done in the past, because I don't think, well, I agree with the concept, right, of balancing it out, to have the town manager try to do that math on the back of the napkin right now.
And again, I understand it, it may be something that if we can, if it's information we have to wait for, I'm not opposed to waiting for it, but again, I'm one person on the board.
Yeah, I would feel a lot more comfortable if we, personally, if we move forward with what he has and we take those concerns and we try to address the problem moving forward instead of trying to Band-Aid it right now. And if we can approve this at 6.5, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Town Manager, but there's nothing that says we can't come back when you've had the time to do this math. And if you can say, hey, it's going to be 6, or we can do 5.5, or you have some other proposal, we can entertain that at a future date.
So there is a timeline, because we like to have the rates set before the next reading cycle.
Which is soon.
Because, yes, because people will say, well, I thought the rate was X and I use water accordingly. So you want to make sure that the rate is set before the next reading cycle.
Correct.
So that's why, that 5.55 might not actually be a bad idea. It's just that, like you said, I don't want to do it on the fly right now because I'm not, I'd rather take it back, but then this rate should be set, before the next reading, which I think is next month.
We do have a March meeting, but again, I would be comfortable moving forward with this, and I think it would mildly ease resident concerns if they saw that we were committing to formulating a plan of how we're actually going to move forward until the problem is solved. Not a Band-Aid, not a patch, but what is our plan that we are committing to moving forward?
Mr. Chairman, I actually agree with Mr. Mackey on this one. We did agree, maybe not Mr. Russo, but we all did agree last year this was going to be the plan going forward. So I would suggest Mr. Mackey's idea going forward with the current, and we gave him the job of setting the rates. So I don't have a problem going along with Mr. Curran's plan, but again, we have to look at the future and what we can do, whether it's you do not buy extra equipment or et cetera, whatever it happens to be, but I don't have a problem approving these rates tonight. I did have some concerns because, again, it's price elasticity. You're going to be looking at something where, well, I'm not going to buy because it's so high and I'm going to use less. I mean, currently, right now, I have toilets shut to the lowest thing I can possibly get away with. I don't water the lawn because it's expensive. I don't fill the pool. I let the rain fill the pool, and if the pool's not filled, I don't go swimming. So that's my opinion.
Well, I appreciate everybody's questions and concerns, and I appreciate, this isn't an argument, this isn't a dispute, this is all us trying to work together to try to find out what, I know, I'm just trying to work through, but, we did, like I said, we did make a commitment last year. I think the residents are expecting it because we did make that comment last year. I would like to see, before we get to next year, to Mr. Ryder's point, to see if maybe we could come up and work to say, can we do it for multiple years and come up with a tier of what people could expect, much less than 6% going forward. If we can do that, but for this point, we do want to get these water repairs completed. We don't want to take anything off schedule. Construction costs continue to go up. And, I just want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence to fix as many water lines as we can. And nobody wants, I'd love to be able to tell everybody we're doing it at 4% for the next 5 years. It's just, we got work to do. We got a lot of things that we have to follow up on. And, it's like I said, the only good news we have is that sewer debt is going down. So, the overall, we're working in the right direction. We just haven't got there yet. And because of the cost of what we have, was my perspective.
Yeah, no, I would just say, Mr. Chairman, that Select Board Member Ryder, that was, you and I sat down, so the plan we're on was largely based on some of the thoughts you had because of your experience in the field. So we could do that again, sit down and maybe come up with, try to reevaluate, and there's always room for, improvement. So I'd be happy to do that.
All right, I'm going to open it up at this point to any motions or recommendations.
So before we go to a motion on the rate, are we in agreement that we are going to start scheduling some working sessions where we can start to address this problem? Does anyone have any feedback on that?
I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would make that in a form of a motion, then, that this board is going to start scheduling working sessions so we can address the long-term plan for addressing our water infrastructure.
All right, so we get a motion to put a long-term plan. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We got a second? All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Okay, now we'll listen to motions on this matter.
Make a motion to approve the water and sewer rates as presented by the town manager.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
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 Chair votes aye as well. I believe that's 5-0.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Economic Development Mission Statement.
So I can jump in on this
Go
one.
right ahead.
What was that?
I say go right ahead.
So everyone has in their packet the proposed mission statement. This is something we've been working on for a long time. It was presented at the last EDC meeting and approved and requested that Mr. Ryder and myself bring this forward to the Select Board to get approval. This is one of the committees that needs kind of an update on its charge, and this is the charge that the committee came up with. So pending any questions, I would look for approval on that.
And I'm going to open up to the board. Do we have any questions, concerns from the board?
I have
No,
none.
I don't. No, this is great.
I just, so, the committee showed 2 formal briefings per calendar year. Economic development, okay. Okay, no, I'm fine with it. I hope that, that it's a working session, so if need be, there'll be additional meetings will be held.
Yes.
As needed, as you continue to do that. So I'm fine with that, so.
And if I may, not to speak for James, but James and I mean, we've had, we have some new board members. There's some good ideas that have come out of this. We've had a little difficulty with some quorums, but I think the last couple meetings have been informative, and, town manager, assistant town manager were there. I think it gave us some direction of what their focus is going to be and what our focus is going to be and what our mission is going to be after coming out of that meeting, and what they're going to plan and where the EDC is going to help move that needle. So this was, agreed upon unanimously by the sitting EDC. So I think it's a move in the right direction. And again, if things come up, we didn't limit it, we put in a minimum of the working sessions, but if we need to have 3 or 4 because we have something moving forward, but then we all agreed that we'll continue with that direction.
Right. The only comment I have is that I know how difficult it is to have these meetings because you have staff and you have the commitment, and, having regular meetings is important because you stay involved. If it gets stale, people tend to go away and they wait to find out what's happening. The only suggestion I would give you as you're working on these boards is if members do start falling off, maybe you do reach out to the business community and try to get some business owners to be part of that, because there's nothing more valuable than listening to the business owners who are trying to, getting their input on that. So that may be something that you may bring as a recommendation to your board, but you guys have this, so I appreciate your work on it.
So when I was distilling the board's feedback for drafting this, that was actually one of the considerations, is with the amount of meetings and how kind of ad hoc they were, because we didn't have a mission, it's not appealing to business owners who don't know when a meeting's going to be, don't know what the charge is, what they're going to be doing. With a quarterly schedule, and again, we can have more, but having 2 scheduled briefings from town staff on initiatives, what's coming down the pipe, zoning, how it affects EDC, et cetera, and then 2 working sessions on the off quarters, that gives us a clean structure that may actually be enticing for business owners to get involved because they know what they're doing, they have a clear charge, and they have a clear schedule.
Sounds good. Like I said, it's always difficult to keep these things going, but I think it's very important for us to, try to bring businesses to the community, so I appreciate both of your work on this. All right, I'm going to take any recommendations. Mr. Ryder, go ahead.
Yep, I'll make a motion to approve the EDC mission statement and as proposed in your packet.
I got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. That is passed. Okay, we got a donation to the senior center. Mr. Coward?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 2 donations. Received a donation of the amount of $30 in memory of Joan Hansford from Susan Fraser of 5, I won't say the address, but from Susan Fraser. And I recommend the board receive that and send a letter of gratitude to Susan Fraser.
I'll make a motion to approve the donation and follow up with a letter of gratitude from the town manager's office.
Okay, so I got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, Mr. Hammond, one more?
I also have a donation, an anonymous donation from the amount of $100 for a wheelchair. It's from a gentleman who was just grateful that he was able to get it, so he donated $100.
Motion to approve with gratitude. Oh, it's actually anonymous, so thank you, whoever you are.
All right, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second that.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. That covers that. Thank you. Okay, now we are on to old business. Verizon Cable Television Renewal Approval. I should see we do have someone joining us. So, all right,
There you go.
surprise. Yeah. All right, Mr. Carmen, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Bill, is there any special motion that we need to make? Is it a roll call requirement?
He's been here the whole time, and I think we just lost him.
Yeah.
He's still there, it's just minimized.
There it is.
There he is.
I give up.
Did you hear me, Bill?
No.
Bill, I was just asking if the motion, is it a specific motion that you require? Is it a motion to approve the contract renewal license effective May 30th, 2026? Would that be appropriate?
I don't think he can hear us.
Huh? Said something.
Yeah, then I asked to be in the package and it's not.
He should be able to hear you now.
All right, can you hear us, Bill?
Yes.
All right, great. So we have the
She gave it to us.
license before us again, and I just wanted to make sure that, double check with you that is there a certain motion you'd want the board to make to approve the license, or is it just a matter of approving the renewal license for Verizon New England Incorporated effective May 30th, 2026?
I would like the motion to include a statement, very brief, that the select board finds that Verizon has the financial and technical qualifications to reasonably operate a cable system in Tewksbury, and that the cable license, the proposed cable license reasonably meets the needs and interests of the public in town. The reason, I would like that inserted for the simple reason that under the state regulations, once the license is, if the license is approved and signed and the motion passes, we are required to file the license with the state, which is a good thing. It's always online at the state if you ever need to look at it, including a brief statement of reasons. So if the motion includes that they have technical, financial, and legal ability to operate a cable system and the proposed license reasonably meets needs of the town, then we don't have to go through a process of writing up reasons separately and spend time on it. We'll just kill two birds with one stone, do the approval, and I'll copy those reasons into the filing statement with the state.
Okay, so that would be, the select board finds that that Verizon has the financial, technical, and legal means to,
Legal qualifications, qualifications.
okay,
To operate the cable system. And it has a license renewal proposal that reasonably meets the needs. Needs would come in there. Yeah. So one is for qualifications, they have the qualifications, and two is their proposal reasonably meets the needs. And then I'll be able to, do my little filing statement that complies with the state filing reg. Okay. Assuming that, the board is ready to go forward.
okay, so I'm going to read it back to you and for the board.
Okay.
So the select board finds that Verizon has the financial, technical, and legal qualifications to operate the cable system in Tewksbury, and their proposal reasonably meets the needs of the town.
Right. And then based on that, and then, based on the foregoing, they vote on the motion. Yeah. The motion simply being the select board hereby approves and shall execute the proposed Tewksbury Verizon renewal license to be effective May 30th, 2026. I'm not hearing anything now.
I'm here, I'm just writing something down.
Okay. So
Okay, good,
while Mr.
good.
Curran's working on that, I'm going to open it back up to the board because I know we did have some questions and concerns at the last meeting. So, Mr. Russo, do you have any?
I guess just fundamentally, just my only question from that conversation previously was, cable usage really in general continues to decline. And so from that perspective, does this renewal agreement protect the town financially, even with that decline overall? And that's just not a Tewksbury thing. That's, I think, across really the board as people turn to more streaming services and things of that nature. The way the agreement's written makes sense to me. I'm just kind of looking fundamentally as a whole through this process.
So
You're not alone. You're in good company. That's the big question, the $1 million question everyone is asking. But we cannot address subscribership levels in the license. That's just the marketplace, the market forces. That's unfortunately one of the most important questions, but not within the scope of a license document.
No, understood.
Because you're really saying that their subscribership is going to go down because people are going to switch to newfangled technologies, whether they're other non-cable services, whether it's 5G wireless video packages or streaming packages. And those we cannot touch. Those are deregulated.
Okay, all right. I understand.
By Congress, they have all these preemptions to state that, oh, they're so needy, these poor internet companies, and their innovation has to be promoted. So it's like the Wild West. They do whatever they want, and no one can regulate them.
Mr. Ryan?
Just to add to that, addressing your question, raising the rate from 3.5% to 4% does recognize the fact that, revenue is declining.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
We do have an increase in revenue specifically motivated by, thank you, John, that is a very important point, to try to address some of the inevitable slippage in subscribership numbers.
Mr. Ryder?
No, I'm all set.
Mr. Mackey?
Thank you. So yeah, this was a thrilling read. I appreciate having the time to go through it. And I've shared the same concerns as Mr. Russo. My question to you, Bill, is I know that there have been discussions since the last time we spoke about this. There were discussions ongoing in Congress. Has there been any movement on looking at the ability to operate the network? Because I go back to the argument of it's the same medium, it's the same network that they're providing the cable service over that they're providing internet over. So it's the same infrastructure, the same everything. So
No, it's ridiculous. The same wire sometimes.
usually the same wire.
I know, it's like a very unreal thing. They say if the signal travels through that wire on some invisible level where it's an internet protocol, you don't have to give the city anything for using their public ways. But if it's a cable signal, this earlier form of the physics, you have to pay for you. So it's an absurdity. And no, in fact, it goes, the committee that's handling it in the House is going in a worse direction. Their main bill would treat cable like broadband instead of treating broadband like cable. That hasn't come out of committee yet, but it has been sitting there as one of their lead bills. They are like the deregulation Congress.
Okay, thank you, Bill, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Mr.
I'm
Holland?
all set, Mr. Gratman.
Yeah, to your point, Mr. Russo, I do remember Mr. Dorrington coming in here, and he did address, he did a lot of work on this. I appreciate all the work that he put into it, looking at all the rates and working with Bill to make sure that we had a good plan. It's his job. So he's confident, I think he mentioned at the last meeting, that he is, that like these rates that we're putting in is a good deal, and that will stabilize what he needs to do in the future going forward. And I'm going to go with his recommendation, so I trust his opinion.
Yeah, and it's an opinion because, a lot of this depends on future events that are beyond everyone's control, like artificial intelligence could have a new distribution system. So, just to be, very real about it, there are a lot of changing technologies that are all getting into the mix. But Brian was very comfortable with it. And 95% of the license is a recycling of the existing license, which we've used for the last 5 years. So it's not like there's the risk of this is like tried and true. It has worked in terms of the overall framework. And also, as I said last time, Verizon was a fair negotiations partner on the government relations level. They're very reasonable with the cities, and they can be a resource. Yep. And cities and towns, yeah.
All right, with that said, will you have any?
Do you want me to read back the motion?
Oh,
Yep.
sorry, Pat.
What's that?
I didn't know if Mr. Holland had any questions.
Yeah.
I didn't hear him say.
No, I'm all
He
set.
already said no. Okay.
I get it all written down, so.
We did have a statement that I asked you to put in the package. So,
Yeah.
Okay, the Select Board finds that Verizon New England Incorporated has the financial, technical, and legal qualifications to operate the cable television system in Tewksbury, and their proposal reasonably meets the needs of the town, and therefore the Select Board hereby approves the Verizon Cable Television renewal license effective May 30th, 2026.
So moved.
So I got a
Second.
motion, and I got a second. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Bill, does that cover you?
That covers me. And last words is I always have to thank John and Brian and Paula, because I bug them, a couple of times a week on some changing words, and they're always like the most responsive. So thank you all.
Okay. Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
We are going to go move on to town manager.
Okay.
What's up?
Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay, so just as an update, we have a new police sergeant. Joshua Barbera has been promoted to the position of sergeant as of last week. He will be training in the next 6 weeks. Be sure to congratulate him if you happen to see him. DPW snow operations. After the blizzard of 223, DPW crews began to clear sidewalks. That we did have a breakdown in the sidewalk equipment on that Thursday, and we had also ordered a new attachment for one of our pieces of equipment, so we would end up having 2. So that actually came in the following Monday, and we get the other one back online, and we finished doing the sidewalks. We are ordering another one, so we will now hopefully for next year, not this year, because I'm hoping not to get any more snow, but we will have 3 for next year to handle sidewalks. And those attachments, they're pretty cool. They attach, but they actually go up, and they can go at banks. They can go up 6 feet high and go after snow banks that are left in the road. So that's good news. Then the snow and ice deficit is not good news. It's 1.5 million. The governor had declared a snow emergency, making this event eligible for FEMA reimbursement, so the town has submitted preliminary estimates on these costs. That 223 storm costs about $260,000. So if the county qualifies for reimbursement, we'll get some percentage of that money back. So hopefully we will get some of that back, and hopefully we've seen the end of the snow for the season. It's been a pretty long winter. Senior Center Mobile Market, the mobile market funded by the Greater Boston Food Bank and coordinated by AgeSpan, which is a grant program we use, provides fresh and shelf-stable food to eligible Merrimack Valley residents aged 60 plus and adults with disabilities. Tewksbury Senior Center served as a key distribution hub, supporting about 500 individuals, 64 enrolled locally. Due to severe winter weather halting recent distributions, Market Basket was enlisted to supply additional food to those 64 individuals locally affected. So thank you to Market Basket. This longstanding partnership ensures ongoing support for these vulnerable residents, demonstrating a strong collaboration between the community. Good news, the finance director the position has been filled. Just happened this afternoon, so it didn't actually make it into this report. But I heard from her today, she's accepted the position. Her name is Marissa Batista, and she is currently the finance director in Amesbury. And importantly, I thought that she also did auditing work for the private sector of municipalities in a firm that I've used many times before. And I actually tried to recruit some of these people from that firm. So and then she walked through the door, and she had worked there for 10 or 12 years, and she had experience on the public side. So I'm very happy with that. Looking forward to her starting. She does have to, it'll be 60 days because of the commitment she has with her previous contract, but we'll be able to manage, and that's great news. I'm much relieved that we have a finance director coming on board. The Marshfield appeal, they had a hearing, and it wasn't very promising because some of when Marshfield presented their case, this is for the MBTA Communities Act, for the unfunded mandate, they didn't actually have a letter in hand when they brought their case forward, so that didn't help them very much in their case. So updated list of grants are provided that we haven't received, so that continues to grow. The good news was that the safety grants for the fire, I thought that they would go after them this year. They didn't. So we have applied for those. We do expect to get those. They're not much money, but at least those are intact. So with that, Mr. Chairman, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, and open up to the board for any questions. Ryder, anybody? The only thing I have is, what I would like to do is get a list of the ones that, because that's the concern that I have, is that, we're getting calls saying, don't apply for this, you're not going to get it, but then you find out we can get it. So, and we're not getting a lot of things in writing from what I'm understanding on some of these things. What I would like to do is get a list together and send it to our delegation, so when they are up there lobbying for these grants, let's find out, like, is it real that they're taking them away? And if there are, I'd like to send a letter from this board to the delegation to say, can you voted for this, and now these grants are coming off here, and I want you to see how you're going to work for us to make sure that these grants somehow or another come back to us. So I'd like to put something in that.
Okay.
Also, the snow and ice, I appreciate the work. We've had multiple conversations on this, and this isn't the time of year to really do it, but much in the way in working sessions and things like that, I would like to, when we have major storms, there are significant areas along 38 that are very, very frustrating. I see people in wheelchairs trying to get up and down 38, and a lot of it is the plows pushing it up on the sidewalks, but a lot of it is also the businesses clearing their parking lots and piling it at the end. It doesn't snow 10 feet of snow, and when most places are given a permit through the planning board, they're told that they must have snow staging areas. I think we should send reminders of that for the year and for next year, so that when our plows are trying to go out there, because what we're doing is they're working 2 or 3 days on a storm, and then they go home and they rest, and then they go back out there, and by the time they get back out there a day later, this is turning to a block of ice. And we don't salt the sidewalks, so by the time they do plow it, even if they plow it, it's a sheet of ice out there. I just want to see if there's a way that I appreciate us getting an additional piece of equipment, but then we have to also have a discussion about, do we have the resources to put the people in that equipment, and what's the timetable for us to clear our sidewalks, so that people have a reasonable expectation of how we're doing it and when we're doing it for future, storms going forward. I think a conversation and having that on, I know we have stuff on our snow and ice website, but there was many sidewalks that were left unplowed, but we had severe weather, and people understood that. But like I said, putting that information out, knowing what we have, and maybe having the businesses, talk to their plow drivers, because I don't think it's the business owners themselves. They're hiring contractors to go out there, and are they aware where they're supposed to put the snow instead of pushing it out on the sidewalks? And I think a refresher on that, maybe a letter next year to some of the businesses where we have the areas of concern, would be helpful before next storm next year.
I agree, and then we had this conversation earlier, and, sometime around September, I think that would be a good time to send those letters out.
Yeah.
And we'll put a database of businesses along 38 and put a letter together to them to remind them not to pile snow up in the right-of-way.
The only reason I'm bringing it up now is it's fresh in their minds.
Right.
So the people that are actually out there clearing know the locations. They've gone out there and they hit a wall.
Right.
And so let's talk to them now, have them put the list together now, and then when we get to September, we don't forget where those locations were. And then, like, put that list together if we can, of where the most, the worst conditions were, especially when you're going around corners and other areas. I just want to make sure sight distances are clear for kids out there. You know, luckily, we didn't have any issues that I'm aware of, but I'd hate to see somebody walking on a street and going around a corner with a mound of snow and somebody getting hit. So I just want to make sure we're constantly keeping that fresh in everyone's mind.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else have any other concerns? No? Okay. We're going to move on to town council invoice.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, there's an invoice for town council from the period of January 16th through January 31st to Feely and Brown in the amount of $3,570.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve town council invoice January 16th through January 31st for the amount of $3,570.
We got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. And a motion, second by Mr. Holland. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Okay, next we have minutes. Mr. Russo?
So, yep, so these are executive session minutes for a couple different meetings over the last 12 months. You know, I've worked with Paula in our office, the recording secretary, and all these seem up to par from what we usually present as executive session minutes. So they are, for the dates as follow, May 20th, 2025, September 23rd, 2025, and October 21st, 2025. Again, all of them being executive session minutes.
Okay. Look for a motion for approval and release of the executive session.
Yep, so I'll so moved, I'll make that motion.
Yeah, no, I have a comment on this. So I'm not comfortable approving any of these minutes as written. Under Mass Open Meeting Law, they're supposed to reflect the substance of the executive session discussion. These appear to barely summarize the actions and don't adequately describe the discussion. They also don't clearly reference the statutory purpose for the session. Documents reviewed are not part of the record, and I'm not confident that the attendance reflected in those meeting minutes is accurate. So I think we should
Do you have
review these.
specifics? Because,
I can pull my notes, yeah. When looking at them, there are clear misses in here, so I can get you specifics, but yeah.
because the executive session minutes, the way I understood it, was that they're executive session for a reason, and so we're not reflecting the conversations that are being held, but other than just the substance of the purpose of the meeting, any motions or votes that were taken, and then the timing of it all, right? And that's how I've always understood it. So,
I believe attendance is required on there, and we have board members, but there were other people who were present in some of these meetings, as well as we can expand a little bit. We don't need to go verbatim like we do for our regular session meeting minutes, but a resident should be able to read these and understand the high level of what occurred. I don't believe we're meeting the bar with these minutes as presented. So I'm happy to provide additional feedback on those, like line by line, but I'm not comfortable with how they're approved right now. So I want to try to keep us out of trouble. I think we've got some work to do on these.
Do I have any other comments or concerns on it? Right. Well, do I have any motions on the matter?
I've made the motion, so
All right.
there's a second, great, not, we can.
Was that?
I guess my question, I'll defer to, through you, Mr. Chair, to Mr. Curran, is, again, is Mr. Mackey accurate? Again, I just want to make sure if we're going to release these, are we releasing these in accurate form? My understanding was similar to Mr. Russo's, but again, I just want to make sure that we're going to release them and we don't have to come back and.
So you could make them more detailed, but if you make them more detailed, it's not required. You're supposed to capture the essence of the meeting, mainly the actions that take place in the meeting, and you know at least what the purpose of the meeting was. And But, you know, it is also true that, you know, you don't want to put too much detail in the minutes because they're executive session minutes for a reason. And the more you put in there, the more that can be used, you know, in legal proceedings. So, you know, I, as long as you capture the essence in the actions of the meetings, I went through my notes and I looked through some of the things and to try to, you know, because this was a long time ago, right? So I looked through some of my notes, and the only thing, the one that's most important is the middle meeting, the May 20th meeting, and it appears as if there was no action, but there was a discussion by special counsel about the battery energy storage and the siting board process. So it does tell you what the meeting's about, but it doesn't go into a lot of detail. Could you go into more detail? You could. Is it necessary? In my opinion, no.
Okay.
Mr. Holland? Any questions or concerns?
I have no questions well, I do have a concern. I think we should send this to town council and have him review to reassure us that we're submitted it correctly. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a problem with approving these either.
No, nor do I. I know we had a question raised, and I just want to make sure that we're following the requirement under the statute.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to table the approval of the minutes until
What's up?
town council reviews.
So I'm happy to rescind.
Oh, yeah, we already have a motion on the table, so I just wanted to, Mr. Russo.
Yeah, I'm happy to rescind that upon Mr. Holland's recommendation.
Okay, so we have no motion on the table. Mr. Holland, now can you make your motion, please?
I'll make a motion to table the approval of the minutes until town council reviews.
Okay,
Just as a point of information, Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
in the meantime, these minutes will all remain confidential until some action is taken.
okay. Yep,
Okay.
all right. So with approval in the next meeting?
With approval of the next meeting.
Okay, okay. All right.
Okay. So for clarification,
Yep.
you're looking for an opinion from town council as to whether these minutes meet the standard for executive session minutes?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
I would also recommend that we verify the content of them for attendance, for documents discussed, for all of the requirements under Mass General Law required for executive session meeting minutes.
Okay.
All right. And I'm sure our attorney will understand all the Mass General law, so we'll get his opinion on that to make sure we're following the procedures correctly. I appreciate your work on this, Mr. Russo. But I got a motion. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second that.
I got a second. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Board member reports. Mr. Holland,
I have nothing, sir.
Mr. Mackey.
We met, had a good meeting with the Economic Development Committee as presented tonight, and we're going to be looking forward to schedule our future meetings and get that cadence in order. Thank you.
Mr. Ryder.
Nothing at this time, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Russo.
Yeah, we have a school facility committee meeting Thursday for the final presentation for the feasibility study. So we'll have some potential discussion there out of that from the committee that hopefully, I believe at our next March meeting, we'll have before the select board from the superintendent and school committee chair.
I appreciate that. The only thing I have is we had another LRTA meeting. You know, things are moving along with the additional services going in Wilmington. They were approved. We'll have a new member joining us at the end of the month. The only thing that we're looking at is we have two buses that run through community right now. The main one runs down 38, and there's a secondary bus that does short stops. That's like a specialized bus that goes up 133 and goes into Andover. They would like to have discussions, and I want to schedule some meetings with the town manager and other people, and they're going to bring some numbers to us to show the type of services that, the numbers that we're doing, and does the community want to change and look at the locations and things like that? I know they work with MCOG, get some recommendations, they do counts on how many trips that are going on, and with the new development and the new things that are happening in our community, we can talk about, maybe having discussions about how that service can maybe better our community than currently what's doing it, but they want input from the community. So I'll make sure that, the executive director over there reaches out to the town manager and has some input with planning and our other departments as well. All right. That, I have nothing else on the thing. Listen to a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. See everyone at the March 24th meeting. Thank you.